On a Sunday morning a few weeks ago, Outcome Health CEO Rishi Shah walked out of a multi-million-dollar home on Chicago's North Side and was greeted by a process server with court papers about an investor lawsuit alleging fraud. Shah ran to a waiting black Cadillac Escalade, jumped in and shut the door. The process server placed the documents on the Escalade's roof, jumped in his own car and followed Shah's vehicle. Both drivers stopped in traffic and lowered their windows. "I told the driver that the pleadings and subpoena were on his roof and that his passenger, Mr. Shah, was served," according to an affidavit the process server filed with New York County Supreme Court. A spokesman for Outcome Health, David Golden, disputed the process server's account, saying Shah got into the car before seeing or hearing anyone and did not have any communication with the process server. Just a few months ago, Outcome Health was considered a bright star shining on Chicago's tech scene. Having attracted a handful of high-profile investors early this year, the company's valuation rose to about $5.5 billion, and it secured a coveted spot among the local tech unicorns valued at more than $1 billion. A process server said he tried to serve Outcome Health CEO Rishi Shah with court papers, and was forced to place them atop a vehicle carrying Shah. The photo was included in an affidavit filed with the New York Supreme Court. Scott R. Rabin, the 31-year-old Shah, landed on the Forbes 400 ranking of richest Americans in October, with a net worth of $3.6 billion. Shah and Outcome Health President Shraddha Agarwal, who've acted as investors and mentors to other tech companies, stood next to Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel at a press conference in September announcing a hiring push and a new headquarters to help accommodate the growth. Outcome remains in the spotlight, but now for very different reasons. The investors that provided $487.5 million earlier this year, including units of Goldman Sachs and Google, and a fund co-founded by Illinois gubernatorial candidate J.B. Pritzker, on November 7 sued Outcome Health, Shah and Agarwal, alleging fraud. Pharmaceutical advertisers have pulled tens of millions of dollars in ads from the fast-growing company, and hospitals have backed away. More than one-third of the 535 employees at the company took a voluntary buyout a few weeks ago. Local investors say the health of Chicago's tech ecosystem doesn't hinge on Outcome Health's success, but the allegations and rapid turn of events don't help Chicago's standing as a place for entrepreneurs to build multi-billion-dollar companies. "We have one fewer of those stories," said Ira Weiss, a partner at Hyde Park Venture Partners. More than a decade ago, Shah and a friend, Derek Muller, hatched a plan for a health information and advertising startup called Context Media while students at Northwestern University, Muller said. Muller presented the business plan during Professor William White's engineering and entrepreneurship class. Both students had an interest in health because of family members with diabetes, and they started planning. "We both had the entrepreneurial bug and we wanted to make something of it," Muller said. Muller's group got an A on the business plan, said White, who later became one of Context Media's directors. Concept: partner with organizations that could create educational content, install screens in doctors' offices and waiting rooms to play that content, and sell ad space to pharmaceutical companies or ad agencies. It was spring 2006 and Muller was set to graduate and work in the banking industry. Context Media changed his plans. "We were spending so much time on the business and trying to figure out how to launch it and what the model is going to be that we were really primarily focused on that," he said. Neither Muller nor Shah received degrees from Northwestern. Agarwal graduated in 2008 with a Bachelor's of Science in Journalism, according to Northwestern. Outcome Health spokesman John Eddy said Agarwal was involved in the early discussions and helped with the company in the early days, joining it full-time after graduation. Shah, Muller and Agarwal's skill sets were complementary, said White, who stepped down from the board in 2013. Muller was more involved in finances and operations, Agarwal focused on marketing strategy, and Shah pulled it all together and did the direct selling, White said. "It took at least a year for the Context Media to land a major advertiser," Muller said. "In those early days, the company was shipping DVDs to doctors' offices that had their screens installed, and it was focused on endocrinologists, who treat diabetes, among other conditions. They really enjoyed the idea of having relevant content in their waiting rooms," Muller said. At the time, the primary competitor was soap operas. Judge Judy was a big one. Jeff Coney, director of economic development at Northwestern who served as a director for Context Media until 2013, said the success he saw when he was involved was no accident. "Of course, you need a little bit of luck, but it's the hard work," he said. "They really did work very hard and they work well together. Soon there were signs of growth," Muller said. The company expanded to more physicians' offices and upgraded technology. But the early growth wasn't without hitches. The recession hit around the same time Context Media moved into its first real office space in the Loop. That made fundraising harder. The company was not yet profitable and was still working to solidify itself among advertising clients. There were times when one customer accounted for a majority of the company's revenue, Moeller said.